ball, and so, yep. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. How about friend? A friend. You know, and that's, you know, you guys are tight. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, besides Brenda, you're my best friend. But, you know, I've gotten reacquainted with, like, Tommy Cassidy. You know, there was a time, you know, we were always together in middle school, high school, and then kind of, and now we talk every day almost, or whatever. You know, I got some good friends. And some I haven't talked to in a long time, but as soon as you talk to them, it's like, you haven't missed a beat. It might be a year or two. As soon as you talk to them, it's like, it's been a minute since the last time you talked to them. Is there any famous person you look up to? Athlete, actor? No, yeah. There's never, you know, I kind of, the actor one is I'm going, is there any actor, actress that I, you know? Sean Penn? Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I like when I see that. And also, what's his name? He does Christian movies now. Kirk Cameron, you know, and to see where it could take him, and he goes, and I don't know if he still is. Yeah, so, you know, you see somebody that in that limelight, in that kind of lifestyle, to say, no, there's something more than that. You know, you look at a Reggie White who played for the, you know, Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay, you know, where he said, God gave me this talent, so I'm going to make sure I use this to bring more people to Christ. And so he used that platform to bring people to Christ. I thought, you know, that's pretty cool, because they have. Yes. Yep. Didn't have to be dirty, didn't have to go that route, you know, just funny. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. You know, well, you look in the NFL, and you know, if you remember way back, actually I got a quote from him in this, is Tom Landry, who used to coach the Dallas Cowboys, who was a good Christian, and yeah. I know who you're talking about, and he. Yes. Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm not sure. And John Wooden at UCLA for all those years, they said the same thing, you know. So, how about this one? Is there any politician that you? You know, he was a good Christian boy. He just wasn't a good president. Yeah. You know, and he put that even when he ran back in '76. You know, of being a Christian and stuff. Yeah. But he had to lose to Jimmy Carter. Yeah. Yeah, George Washington. You know, you look at some of those early ones, George Washington was really, but a lot of those were more deists kind of a thing. They believed in God and stuff, but they knew, even Ben Franklin, but he knew what this nation needed. It had to be a foundation. Those founding fathers were raised with God and had a foundation in God. And, I always said about the early presidents was that the office of president sought the person. Meaning, because some of them would have never been president in this day and age, James Madison, and you look at some of these guys who are very, very good men who became president. Now the man seeks the office, and a lot of the good people don't want to do it because why do I want to get taken through, And even with who's running for governor, Tudor. I mean, they're just running her through the ringer, and for a stand that we all should be taking. Let me ask you this. But if the question was, what do you need to be like in order to be like Jesus? What do you need in your life right now? What do you need to say, man, I need this to be more like Jesus? Okay, Judy, go ahead. Okay, I like that. Better prayer life. More tolerant. More humble. More patient. What other? More of a servant. More compassion. Yeah. Yeah. What Paul wrote is the fruit of the Spirit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. Yeah, less hate. Less judgmental. And that's where for some reason, we think we got that gavel. And this is a great question. We can admire, like I said, you can learn from a lot of people. There's a lot of people we can, through our lives we've learned from. I always see, I look as growing up, some of the people that you went, wow, like a Bob Poole growing up. It was like, wow, a Ken Falkers would always make me smile. Betty and Dottie, and you look at these things and, wow, there's certain little characteristics I'd like to get from them, or wow, it's pretty cool how they stand up or do these things. And that's great, but as Christian, the one person we should strive to actually be like is Jesus Christ. And that's the one, like I always, I've said this story 1,000 times when I was at Mission Christian playing basketball. I don't want to go to this school, bunch of hypocrites, blah, blah, blah. And then the coach said, you're looking at the wrong people. Why are you basing your faith on them where it should be in Jesus Christ? That's who you need to strive. That's who your aim has to be. That's who you look at. Everybody's human and they're going to make mistakes. So don't put any weight in that. Put your weight into Jesus Christ. Ooh. And he was a good man. And so in the following devotional lessons, and we're going to have some more discussion questions, we're going to examine 10 steps that hopefully will help each believer come closer into this spiritual ideal of spiritual maturity. So the first step to a new spiritual you is discipline. Discipline. Question: how would you define discipline? Hard. Hard. Being on the straight and narrow. I like that definition. How would you define discipline? Correction. Self-control. Show yourself. No, exactly. I'm going to go, no. I always thought I had a little voice that said that, but I realized that's your voice. Hey, I'm going to get this. No, I guess not. And I always even teach it all. I would get upset because I would say, discipline is not the enemy. And I remember that movie, Lean on Me. Discipline's not the enemy of enthusiasm. And I always thought, I believe that. And, some people, when you talk about discipline, it's like, ooh, it's a bad word. It's not. Yes. Oh, I agree. You're not held accountable. You know, and that. Yes, but it's the right thing to do. I got to do it. I got to do it. Yeah. Yeah, I've said that a lot. Teach it too. Yeah. You want to see? My mom used to get mad at me because when at school I'd procrastinate about certain assignments. You go, you knew the assignment was 2 weeks ago, and why are you waiting for the last night? And I go, what happened if the teacher died? What happened if the world ended? What? And I got it done 6 days earlier? God be mad. I'll wait to the last minute. But discipline is not, and again, it's knowing there's consequences. And that's one of these things these kids don't know there's any consequences. And I would never get in too many arguments with kids because, all of a sudden they get mad at me. Hey, I'm throwing you out today. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. Yes. And I go, what's the rule? Well, did you break the rule? Yes, I did. Well, you want me to overlook this? There's consequences. And I always say, I can't have you not respect me if I don't follow through on this. You got to do this for me. So smile and get out. So, question. A transformation of any kind begins with the first step. It's the old Confucius said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. I hope I didn't offend him. Yeah, he hates discipline, doesn't he? Yeah, he said, I got a paper due. Uh-oh. And so it begins with a new spiritual. And this, again, as we want to be better, closer, and that's why, we hit certain lessons, and I've loved doing this Wednesday, and we've gone in such different areas, and I love that. But I thought, this would be, how can we become more spiritual? And it begins with discipline. And, a lot of people, that shouldn't be the first step for Christianity. It should be, faith, repentance, being baptized, good works. I understand that. But you all have been, and so this class is really who understand that. You understand the importance of faith and repenting, and one of the greatest acts of faith is being baptized, and those things. You know that. I'm preaching to the choir here, and you guys understand that. But this is, how can we get better, as what the book of Hebrews says, Therefore, let us leave the elementary teachings about Christ and press on to maturity. Let's get deeper. Let's challenge each other a little bit. Let's look at our lives a little bit different. And so, the road to spiritual discipline begins. The spiritual maturity begins at the point of discipline. What path are you going to take? Are you serious? Then let's take the spiritual path. If not, well, go take the worldly path. And that's what I love about God. Choice. You got a choice. I'll leave that up to you. Now, make the one choice, could end up really, really good. Take the other, it might not end up how you want it to end up. Oh, it really does. Oh, amen, sister, on that one. That's a great point. Yes, it does. No. Oh, there's. Yep. Yeah. It is so hard. Oh, for these kids, anything you want is on social media. And we're told that. If you can come up with any kind of, I'll even say deviant behavior, and there's somebody out there saying it's okay, that it's good, why wouldn't you? And it's like, yeah, and you see how hard it is for sometimes churches and some of these things, because Satan works so behind it, so smooth. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And that was something to do. But now, well, because we didn't have so many things going on. It's these kids have such, I know, Shelby, you deal with that so much because it's, oh, I got this, I got that, I can't do this, I mean, it's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's going to get them to somewhere. And that's the thing. It's these parents too think, well, my kid's going to play pro, or they're going to going to go to Division I, and I'm glad that Jay could have had his community college paid for if he wanted to play basketball, and I don't know if I want to do that, but my girls, the greatest thing for me was, and for them, pay for college. It wasn't about, hey, I wonder if they're going to make the WNBA or whatever, but it helped those things. But now, that's, even as a basketball coach, we're looking at numbers for girls varsity basketball, and there's a lot of good athletes, girl athletes walking that hall. But you talk to them, oh no, my volleyball AAU coach tells me not to play basketball because I'm going to go Division I, and so I got to work on that. I don't know how many people. I mean, one girl, we're going to have a practice. We're going to practice Saturday. I have a batting lesson and stuff. Well, you're in high school. You should. Oh no, my dad paid $4,000 for this. Okay, well, I guess you can go do that. And it's like, I remember Dan Matsko once said to somebody about, all the money you spend on your kid and all these clinics and camps and travel teams and stuff, you could have paid for their college by now. So, yeah, and it does. This is what they're being told, and this is, so many things. And then, like I said, social media, go here, do this, everything's fine, and it's difficult, as you know, trying. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great question. That's how do you, it's, like I used to say, I used to argue with my brother Steve, you live 2 doors down. A lot of time we'd grab Steph or Jay and get them here. But I said, well, you got to make them come here. Well, I'm going to let them make their own choice. If they want to go, they can go. And I said, so come Monday morning, they look at you going, we ain't going to school. You make your own choice then? Well, no, they got to go to school. It's important. And this isn't. We're talking about a whole different ball game here. And so, but it's, yeah, everybody, it's such, I wish I had the answer to that. It racks my brain all the time on how can we. Yeah. And for I mean, they never argued, or it was just what we did. This is what and when we were little in Florida, they were at everything, and this is what. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know how it's going to take. You don't know, the perfect example is Jesus says, farmer throws those seeds out. And some hit the path. Some hit rocky ground. Some hit halfway decent soil, but only grows a little bit. And some hits good soil. And that's all you can do is hope you plant the seed and it takes. And if it doesn't, it hurts. But yeah, but you didn't stop. You didn't stop. Yep. It didn't stop, and that's the thing. And a lot of people got to understand that. The drought Elijah, he was praying, for the rain, and kept sending that boy out. You see a cloud? Go back. Nope. Anyway, well, let's keep praying. It wasn't a one and done. And it's God. Take your time, God, but hurry up. We're the one that's not patient. It's, I got this. And that's where that trust comes in. I got this. And there might be a reason it took 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well, you got to be careful. So, Tom Landry, the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, my job is to get men to do what they don't want to do in order to achieve what they have always wanted to achieve. Discipline. Or preachers might define their work in a similar fashion. My job is to make people do things they don't want to do in order to receive the things they need. And so that's discipline, So in a sense, we can say that discipline is a virtue or skill that enables a person to perform determined, deliberate, definable action towards a clear goal in mind. That's discipline. There's a goal. You look at sports. It's easy for me to use sports because it's been my whole life. But it's always, I know if I want to be good at basketball, I got to play basketball. I used to call Rusty Chadfield up, that's summer before our senior year or whatever. Chet, let's go sit around. We got to work on our game. I'm tired. If we don't, somebody else is. And Jake, his senior year, you go. Dad, I don't want to play football. All right. What are you going to do in the meantime? I'm going to concentrate on basketball. And I was glad he didn't play football. And I love football, but he was just going to get hurt. But he 2-3 hours every day after school, he was in the gym. Shoot. That's all that boy did. He wanted. A little discipline. Anybody who wants to achieve something, there has to be some discipline. And if it's, I always felt the harder the battle, the higher the hill you got to climb, the more you appreciate it. Sometimes if it's just handed to you, here you go, don't worry about it. It's harder, but when you're determined and you're deliberate and you have it defined what you want to be. Too many times these kids, there's no definition. There's nothing concrete in what they want to do, and that makes it difficult. Preachers, therefore, are like coaches in that they help church members discipline themselves for the goal of Christ-likeness, a goal that requires change in the individual. And this change at every step requires discipline to be accomplished. As even, as I look at sermons, okay, and a lot of time I'm talking to myself, as I'm preaching up there, but it's, how can we come together as a congregation? How can we come together as a family? What can we do to better ourselves? What can we do to glorify Christ? Not just in our lives and just not in our friends, but in this community and working to spread too, and to be, like last Sunday. Okay, how can we be a servant? So the role of discipline in spiritual maturation is growing in Christ. So an important passage relative to the pursuit of spiritual maturity or godliness, as it referred to in the Bible, is what Paul writes in 1 Timothy. He says, but having nothing to do with worldly fables fit only for old women. No offense. I should have. Discipline. On the other hand, discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness. Why should we discipline ourselves? For godliness. Seek the truth. We had a little conversation with that woman that picked up all that stuff from the garage sale, or I did, and her viewpoint on God was, are you kidding me? It was so, I mean, you were getting upset. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, she was ready, yeah. Nope, you ain't getting none of this stuff. Because she was having another garage sale. Oh, I could, you know, she came, sure. And it was, but I just kept picking, you know, at certain things, and, you know, but, yeah. Timothy, as you know, lived in, you might not know he lived in Ephesus, but you know he was a protege of Paul. He lived in Ephesus at that time, that was the city to live in, a port city, you know. It was rich, it was sexually impure, worldly. It was this big, and that's where everyone wanted to be. Let's go to Ephesus because that's where it was happening. It was the Vegas. It was, you know, whatever you want to call it during that time. And can you imagine a young Christian man without much experience in life itself or the ministry? Hey, we're sending you to Vegas. You know, go get them. So, just give you an idea. I always have to do a map. If you can't find Ephesus, I have a little arrow to help you. There you go. And so, port city, close to Athens. It was like a center of all these things coming together. And so what does Paul do? He encourages him to cultivate the first steps on the road to spiritual maturity, piety, or God, which is personal discipline. Okay, hey, you're going into this area. You better have some personal discipline, which we all need, and it's so important that we get into, and we'll talk about it here a little bit. But Paul uses the Greek word gymnazo, which we get the word gymnasium from. Other words come from it is train yourself, condition yourself. So he's basically telling Timothy, using this word, you need to train yourself. You need to condition yourself like an athlete. You know, if I'm going to prepare to run a marathon, I'm not going to, you know, well, I'll run a couple miles, and then the day of the marathon, I'm good. I should be able to run this with nobody. It should be easy. You know? No. You train yourself, and you work at it. You know, this activity or discipline exercise has two features. The first is repetitive training, making the right choices over and over and over and over again, repeatedly resisting temptation, constantly prioritizing the things of God over the things of this world. And this is that first part of that discipline. You know, how do we do this? Well, I'm going to have to continue to make the right decision. Just because you made it once, and sometimes you have to make it over and over and over. Devil's going to be coming at you, and we have to discipline ourselves to say, all right, I got this. And the more you do, the easier, really, you know, you get yourself into a habit of trying to do the right things. If it's, you get yourself in a habit, I'm going to get up and read scripture, or I'm going to get up and this is my prayer time, or I'm going to make this a priority in my life. You have to discipline yourself to do it. You have to prioritize what is important. You know, discipline requires doing these things over and over and over again until it becomes second nature, a part of who you are and how you're known by others. You're consistent. You do things over and over. And there's a plea right around the foul line. I didn't have to look. People go, you didn't even look at the basket. Don't have to. I've only taken this shot 1 billion times. You know, like Michael Jordan said that. You know, people get nervous when they go to the foul line. He goes, how many foul shots have you shot in your life? I used to explain this. He goes, you've shot in how many foul shots in your life? It's repetition. It's muscle memory. It's just, you know, and it's the same thing with our Christian life. It's that pretty soon, you know, you've disciplined yourself not to say certain things or not to do, you know, all of a sudden it becomes second nature. It's who you are. It defines who you are, but it takes, pretty soon people know how you're going to react or know how, because through discipline. The second feature of this activity of discipline is that it cultivates a sense of personal responsibility. Like you were saying, take responsibility, ownership, you know, and this is what we have. We have to take ownership and responsibility. Well, I'd go to church, but, you know, it's, I don't know how many people tell me, it's too early. But you show up anyways. It's, I always said that for, school should start a little later. Yeah, kids need this. I tell people my best year was my junior year, and we didn't have to be at the school till 11:30 or whatever. 11 to 4:30 was our school day when I was a junior. Yeah, but we don't. But we need to. I'm okay with that. I always talk to Dawn about that. I'd like this. Yeah. She'd call her, hey, no church today. Church has been canceled. We moved the building. And it's, I'd be okay with that. I'm an early riser. I like getting up, but I've even talked here maybe, once winter comes, move it to 10 or 10, move it up a little bit. It's still, get a little daylight here, but it's called discipline. It's called discipline. 9:30, we get her cranking. I'm fine. This is no longer the goal of your parents or the minister, but you have taken on the full responsibility for growing in Christ. It's not my, as much as I teach. That's what we're preaching on Sunday. One of the things one of our gifts, and one of the gifts, we talked about prophecy, we talked about servanthood. This time we're going to talk about teaching. And so, it's just not teaching a class, but we'll get into that Sunday. But it's your responsibility as a Christian to grow. Not making excuses, not doing these things. It's disciplining. This is what I need to do. So what is our goal? Is hit a bullseye every stinking time. So the goal is spiritual maturity, or in other words, the ability to experience the full presence of God in your life. What do we have to? That's spiritual maturity. I want to experience the full presence of God in my life. I don't want to hold it off, but I want to feel that. So how do I do? Well, it begins with discipline of opening yourself up and knowing what is the right thing to do. And once you get into that groove of that discipline, and you've opened yourself to get better. Using again basketball, the more you discipline yourself to work on, I always tell kids, it's nice to go when you're working by yourself in basketball, you got the spot you like shooting at and you just go there and do it. But what are you weak at? If you don't got no left hand, why aren't you working on the left hand? If you can't do this move, why aren't you working on that? That's where you need to discipline yourself to become a complete basketball. There's certain things that we do that comes natural. But are you working on the things that you struggle with? And to discipline yourself to get better at that. This experience becomes a preview of what heaven will be like, and enables the believer. And I love this part right here. The believer, they have no doubts or fear about their salvation. We should be at that point. You should have no doubt, no fear, no anxiety about this world that we live in, no matter how dark, no matter what comes at it. And people, I get folk, man, aren't you worried about this? No, not really. If Jesus comes today, boom, hallelujah. If he doesn't, well, I'm going to have a good day. I'm not going to worry about what could be, and talk to somebody today of, I'm so worried about this. And I think Calvin Coolidge says, you stand on the road in the night and you see 14 headlights coming your way. But by the time it reaches you, it's maybe only one headlight that you have to deal with. But for that whole time, you're worrying about every headlight coming at you, and some go different roads, turn. It never even comes close to you. But we worry about things that we cannot change. And that's why God tells us, Jesus says, what are you worried for? First of all, you've got anxiety, give it to me. And it's not easy, but he tells us to give it to him. And when we discipline ourselves to truly get closer to God, it kind of eliminates some of the things of, should I be afraid of something? Why should I? And the spiritual condition that allowed Paul to say with all assurance to the same Timothy as he contemplate his fast approaching exit. Paul's writing to Timothy knowing, I'm going to Rome and it ain't going to be good. And he said, for I am already been poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I've fought the good fight. I've finished the course. I've kept the faith. In the future there is reserved for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge will award me on that day, and not only to me, but all those who have loved his appearing. And he said, hey, I fought that good fight. I'm ready. I'm not afraid of anything. And I always use that quote all the time. Hey, Paul said, if they execute me, I'm good. I'm going to heaven. If they don't, I'm good. That means I'm preaching. I'm out there rejoicing, talking to people about God. Now, to arrive at this level of spiritual maturity, one has to master several spiritual exercises that each enable the believer to grow in godliness, piety, and Christian likeness. And I mentioned first of these, personal discipline, which is essential training yourself to do and think those things that your flesh resists in order to gain the things you need to obtain what you desire, spiritual maturity. You know what we have to do. You know, there's never a point you don't. Sometimes you decide not to, and you trick yourself sometimes. But we know what we have to do. And so we're going to go through 9 steps over the next 9 weeks. And I hope this is something you like doing and stuff. And so, but I do have some discussion questions real quick. What do you think is your best spiritual attribute? What is your best? And I'm really good at what? What are you good at? Encouragement. Yes. Serving. Yes. Yeah, yes, you are. I see you're always, you know, you're, and it's just not, you know, you'll do whatever it is here, but I see that pretty face over at the Methodist Church, and I know I'm going to see you over at the Lutheran Church, you know, to serve people in a godly way. Yes. You know, some here, you're givers. It's no problem. And I'm giving back because I've been blessed. You know, it's whatever you can. Let me throw this one at you. You don't have to answer this question. Describe your worst fleshly weakness. You know. Yeah. But you do recognize it. And that's you being hard on you. And she's going, you're all right. Judy, you're all right, you know. You're all right. Don't worry about it. You're you know. Yes. Well, I'm saying Jesus is saying it, not me. I'm quoting Jesus. He's going, I got you. I always feel that. I got you. I understand. Yeah. Because I go, man, I blew that one, didn't I? And I can hear him go, oh, yeah, you did. But I still love you. And, you know, and I hope you learned a lesson. And that's, you know, I always believe that everything is a lesson. Good or bad, you can learn from it. You know, I always said about my brother Steve. Boy, the lessons I learned watching him. I'm going, well, I ain't going to do that. That didn't work, did it? And sometimes with the, you know, you let kids run into the wall every now and then. You know, I always said a part of being a parent is being there when your kid learns about gravity and then pick them up. And so I think Jesus lets us learn about gravity and about a lot of other things. But he goes, what did you learn from this? Are you better because of it? Question 3. Aside from Jesus, which Bible character inspires you? Okay, Jesus, of course, has got to inspire. Who's your favorite Bible character that you say, man, why? Yep. Yep. Peter I like, because Peter just fires off, you know, and then he has to back it up. Oh, okay, you know, he's one of my favorite. And John too, where he just, about love, always, you know, I just see him calm. You know, everybody else losing their mind, and just, hey, we got to love each other. Hey, we got to love each other. Any others? I think there's a few more characters in the Bible. Why? Yes. Yeah. And then what a great, right, a great inspiration. You know, you look at, and the thing is that the neat thing about so many people in this Bible, and you look at them, and nowhere really you see, man, this person was just great all along, but it's normal people battling stuff and rose out of the muck. You know, yes. Yeah. You know, and you know, I've always, maybe not a joke about it, but how tough would it have been to be Mary's husband, Joseph? You know, you're raising the Son of God. Did they do that right? You know, but you know, and it's so many lessons. And that's, if you look at the Bible, and he'll take you certain places, and then the lesson you look at and go, whoa, wow. You know, even the prodigal son, not so much him, but the lesson of the older son, the jealousy, what are you doing? You know, kind of a thing. And then the lesson of the father going, hey, wait a minute, you're going to get yours. You know, why are you hating? Why are you doing these things? Moses, you know, where 40 years you're top dog, 40 years you're herding sheep in the wilderness. Then you think, okay, I got this. And Pharaoh's looking you dead in the eye, ain't happening. You know, he thinks he's going to walk in and bring, hey, you're going to let my people go. No, I ain't. Well, I'll do this. No, I ain't. You know, and then all of a sudden, 40 years you're out there wandering in the wilderness. And always there, that perseverance. You know, Noah, almost 100 years building a boat in dry land. And everybody laughing at you. You know, so we can take a lot of these people that as inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Had it made. My dad loves me better than all you guys. And then all of a sudden, whoops, I'm sold as a slave. And then he becomes a very good, you know, all right, if this is the road I got, I'm going to make the best of it. And it was like the best. I mean, where Potiphar made him top of, you know, all his stuff here. You're in control. And then his wife says, you know, tries to trick him, and he runs. He wasn't guilty, you know. So now I'm sitting in jail. This ain't working. I'm not getting this. You know, how many times we've been there? I'm not getting this, God. I'm not getting this. I've been good. I was a loyal son. I did good here, and now a woman throws herself at me. I turn and run. I'm sitting in jail, and then I help some people out, and they lie to me, and I'll talk to the Pharaoh, and they don't. And the next thing you know, he rises up in due time. God had a plan. God had a plan. Is there any Bible character you can relate to? And I'm like, I was kind of, you know, we were talking at the dinner with the breakfast with the other ministers, and one of them called me a Jonah, because if you haven't known, I'm going to be running for the school board. And I know Doc Brady is. He's the one that called me, and the way he said it is because I always thought about it, because I really feel we need God's presence on our school board and in our school, and it's so important. It's always been on my heart, and it was like I always thought about it. And out of nowhere, Doc Brady's never called me unless it was something, you know. And all of a sudden that day he calls me, "Hey, I'm doing this." And I said, "Man, I was thinking, come on, I'm picking you up. I'm taking you there." Well, you know, and it was like, and then somebody, one of me says, why are you fighting this? Well, you think you're just going to run somewhere else? You know, maybe this is where. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. But in my heart, we need a presence, especially where the school's going and how far in. It is lacking so much, and I don't know what, but got to try, got to do something. And somebody go, whoa, stop. Well, wait a minute, you know, whether it be heard or not. But I love Algonac. I love the Algonac school system. And, you know, I think there's been a high street in the Algonac school system since it began. You know, how many roses have gone through the Algonac, you know. So, next question. What is the usual cause of your lack of personal discipline? Laziness. Bam. Sometimes. Put it off. I'm going to put that off. Procrastination. Whoops. I don't know if I did that. Did I do that? But, and you do. And it's sometimes that one of the things that I want to discipline myself on is, in my role, is to make sure I go see more people. I need to do that more. You know, for a while I got into where I was, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and couldn't see nobody. And now doors are starting to open up a little bit. And so, okay, I get up, because if not, you get busy, and what you think 1-2 days turns to 2, 3, 4 weeks. So quick. And you know, these weeks go by so fast of trying to squeeze, but sometimes we just have to, and I need to discipline myself and just take a breath and let God be God. Be still. Let God be God. And direct me. That's always my prayer. Direct me. Let me see those things that I need to see. And that's where I have to do, or I have to discipline myself more. And we got to understand that Jesus, God's already won. Jesus already won. He defeated Satan. Satan's been defeated. And we're going to have the ultimate of it, but we have it. He rose again and said, I got this. I got it. And so, oh my goodness. Yeah, and it does make sense, because there's some times where, okay, I got everything, I'm going to pray, and then all of a sudden the thoughts come as I'm laying in bed. Oh man, I shouldn't. Oh man, you know, and then I beat myself up. And it's, you know, and it's, again, it's, okay, you have to be still and then let God be God, saying, no, don't. I got this. Give it to me. And you know, when I tell people about prayer and stuff, and because I don't know how to pray, or I don't, and I said, well, you're talking to me. Talk to God the same way. If you hurt, tell him why you hurt. If you're frustrated, tell him what's frustrating you. If you're anxious, tell him what's causing this. Put it in his lap. He tells us to do these things. You know, it's not have to be some, you know, I praise who he is, and then, like I said, I'll sit right here and just, I'm firing all kinds of stuff, and then it's in your hands. Give me the strength just to go to the next day. But there's times it's hard. You know, like you said, things come and life comes and it hits you at all different things, firing arrows at us all the time. And so it takes a discipline to stop that. And so we got to see, what are we lacking, discipline, and fix that. And then what do you say when you fail? Try again. Yeah. Sorry. Wait a minute. You know you haven't. No, wait a minute. But no, and that's so. So next week, Wednesday, we're going to talk about drawing closer. This series or whatever we're doing is